very special nerds and friends. Tonight, me, Josh Lindquist, and Will Shaw are talking to our friend Carey DuVal about Marvel's Werewolf by Night. So just for those listening, me and Will have seen it. Carey has not seen it. So this will be an in-depth but spoiler-free review where we get Carey, and by extension anyone listening who hasn't seen the show, hyped about what I think is one of Marvel's coolest projects as of late. Yes. So, Will, what were your initial thoughts on Werewolf by Night?
It's like, well, my initial thought was, wait, they did a Werewolf by Night movie? When was this?
Yeah, they didn't advertise it like at all, which is mind-blowing because it's really good.
Yeah, it's bizarre because like Josh just like texted me or messaged me. I don't remember how he contacted me, but he's like, "Hey, have you guys seen Werewolf by Night?"
Psychic messaging.
And then I'm like, there was a Werewolf by Night movie? When was that? And it was just on Disney Plus, and it is so fucking good.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
So to ask the first question, like, so this is a Marvel property that they made into a, like, is it a?
It's MCU. It's
Okay.
so it's like a 54-minute. It's not a series. It's not a movie. It's not a short film. They're calling it Marvel. I think a Marvel Special Edition or something. And I've seen some interesting stuff online about why they might have done that for like royalty payout reasons and stuff. But it's the directorial debut of composer Michael Giacchino, who did. He's done some work on Star Wars. I know him from Lost. I've been tracking his career since then.
He did the Doctor Strange soundtrack.
He did, yes.
Yeah, he had a really great riff with the harpsichord. I remember that.
Yeah, so he's great. And no, I remember I heard about this movie. I think on Twitter, barely, someone was like, "Oh yeah, October 6th, Marvel's doing a Werewolf by Night thing for Halloween," and I was like, "Well, I'll watch it." And so I watched it the day it came out, and I was like, "Holy shit! How is everyone not talking about this? Like, it's incredibly good. It's nostalgic. It's dark. It's violent. It's a monster movie. Yeah. It's all black and white. It's like it feels like an old school monster movie. Lots of great homage there."
Very heavy on like the screen or the film grain. Like they really kind of nailed that like 1940s. Like this is low budget horror movie in that vein of like the Wolfman, Nosferatu, like those sort of like Universal movies from the black and white era. Awesome. It just absolutely nails those tones, and they kept it nice and short, so it's less than an hour long, so you can just kind of watch it in a night. I guess that makes sense.
And one thing I do want to say is I'm really glad I went into it having not seen a trailer, because I was just like, cool, it's got Gael Garcia Bernal. He's great. I'll just watch this. And then it was amazing. I went back after the fact and watched the trailer because they did put out a trailer. Again, they didn't share it anywhere, so I hadn't seen it. But the trailer, I didn't like how they edited it. And it, like I showed it to some people I know and they were like, this looks terrible. And I was like, it's not. Go watch it. Like, so the trailer... And I think because they didn't want to showcase like how dark and violent it is, so the trailer.
Okay, so the trailer.
The trailer sucks.
The trailer goes in a different direction from that, huh?
Yes, but the movie itself is great. Yeah, like very in like the opening scene, they establish that it's MCU, but then the rest of the story is like its own thing, which I like when projects like I've been gushing lately about Star Wars Andor, because when you have a big universe like Star Wars or the MCU, you have kind of, I call them backbone projects, where it's like the MCU movies or like the Star Wars episodic movies, and those kind of form the backbone of the universe. But then because they're big universes, it's important to have stories that are tonally and content-wise very different to kind of flesh out this whole universe. And Marvel's Werewolf by Night does that, because like in an opening scene they reference the Avengers and then they just move on, and I'm like, great, like it was awesome.
So is it a modern setting? Like give me some breakdown. Like what's like the basic premise?
Well,
so as far as like modern versus not modern, it's more framed in a way that it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like it could easily be a I am dealing with animals.
Mhm.
But like it could be modern day, it could be for 30 years ago, it could be 30 years in the future. It
Mhm.
doesn't really matter as far as like the setting. You could have watched everything MCU up until this point, but it doesn't matter whether or not you've watched everything Marvel or nothing Marvel. You don't have to have read any of the comics. You don't even have to be aware, as I'm sure Josh isn't, that Werewolf by Night was a Marvel comic property.
I mean, I know
Mhm.
that since I Googled it after watching the special,
Mhm.
but and I knew from the Marvel video game that I play, I knew who Elsa Bloodstone was, so I had that going.
Okay.
But no, it was cool
Mhm.
because I mean, with the opening scene, they do reference the Avengers and they show the 6 Avengers from the first Avengers movie, kind of
Mhm.
the original 6. So I assume it takes place in post Avengers 1 timeline. But the reason that Will's saying it's irrelevant is because here's the premise, spoiler free in a nutshell, that they outline in the first like minute, is that they're like, hey, in dark corners of the world there are monsters, and there are monster hunters who get rid of these abominations. And one of the most renowned of these is Ulysses Bloodstone. He has an artifact called the Bloodstone that helps him kill monsters, and he
Mhm.
died. And so he's like, a bunch of monster hunters are gathering at his remote compound to
Mhm.
go through a ritual to see who gets to inherit the Bloodstone now that he's dead. And
Yeah.
so from there, there's this elaborate monster hunting ritual that kind of pits all these monster hunters against each other for who gets the Bloodstone, and awesomeness ensues from there. So,
Yeah.
Hmm.
you know, so
It's
And so,
it's a very beginning, middle, end focused, tight story because again, it's 54
like
minutes including credits. So
yeah.
so it moves quick. There's no fluff. It's awesome, and the
Mhm.
visuals are great. Obviously, with Michael Giacchino directing, he also did the music, so the music's
mhm.
fantastic. The lighting, because you can tell they filmed it, going in that it was going to be black and white. So the lighting is incredible, and there's just great beats of action. There's a twist with uh that I won't get into for spoilers that I loved that I didn't see coming a mile away.
Hmm.
And so I loved everything about it. It was amazing, and I want to see those characters, more of them.
I do really appreciate when I've actually really started liking when I found out that directors have a diverse background in something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and my immediate thought recently has been the Silent Hill franchise,
Mm,
uh, because the creator of the Silent Hill games, or the director of the Silent Hill games, is also the lead musician, and he actually, from what I understand, he wrote the games to kind of um, mirror music, like they have a flow like a symphony,
Mhm.
and he's got a very
oh,
good sensibility for that. And it's really interesting when you have people that are trained in a different discipline than they're working in, because they really do get that like they get a different vibe out of
Mhm.
it. I mean, another good example is George Miller, the director of the Mad Max movies,
yeah.
who before he made the first Mad Max, he was a trauma surgeon. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, all of the like gore effects and everything have a different, more visceral kind of hit,
Yeah.
because he knows about that. He worked in that
Mhm.
for a long time. So I'm already really on board, because I really like the way that Michael Giacchino does scores. The Doctor Strange soundtrack, as far as like, Doctor Strange was a pretty good movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I adore the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like, as far as
Yes.
MCU soundtracks go, it's one of those, like, it's one of those standout, like, far and away. You got the tone, you got the vibe, and then it was amazingly built on by Danny
Mhm.
Elfman in the second one.
Yeah.
Like, it had a great vibe. I am already really interested to see what his, like, artistic visions would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the soundtrack on Werewolf by Night, like it is right up there uh with multi or yeah, multiverse of madness. Um in that it like really is used to effectively kind of frame everything that's going on constantly. to kind of build to different crescendos and different emotional peaks throughout the movie in a really subtle way that just kind of pushes everything along.
Yeah.
The other really nice thing is like it's not at any point actually dumbed down for the audience. Like there's some story that took place before this, and there's some story that's going to be taking place after this, and they don't feel like it doesn't feel like it's trying to hold your hand through this. Like you get the impression, okay, everybody here has had a novel that they've already been through, and it just kind of plops you into the setting and is like, well, this is the story we're telling right now, and just expects your suspension of disbelief to carry you through that.
I do really appreciate that, and especially with the Marvel team, the way that it does seem that they understand how audiences at this point have origin story fatigue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I legitimately remember the thing that immediately turned me off of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, aside from everything else, was the fact that, like, I think I've said this before, there's one scene in that movie that is fucking brilliant in every single way, and I will not hear anything against it, and it is when Bruce Wayne, without the bat, without any fucking gadgets or anything, goes essentially running into the superhero equivalent of 9/11 right at the beginning of that movie, and that is brilliant. It's amazingly shot, it's amazingly paced, the visual storytelling is fucking perfect. Like it is an amazing set of scenes, and then the rest of that movie does all it can to destroy it. No offense to Zack Snyder, I understand you're a very nice man. But like one of the things that like really got me eye rolling with that was again, we saw like Batman sad about his parents dying. Like, cool. We don't need to see that again. Like
we've seen it a dozen times, if not more.
We've seen it a dozen times.
We know Batman's parents died.
We know
everyone knows Batman's parents died.
The first time the MCU really showed us they get that was when they brought in Spider-Man in Civil War, and they were like, "Yeah, my Uncle Ben, something happened to him," and we're all like, "We're on board. We know what it is. Let's go." You know.
Yep.
Well, and with this movie, I would be remiss really quick if I didn't say one of my favorite shots is. As I'm sure this isn't a real spoiler, at some point someone transforms into a werewolf. And the way they shot that scene, the lighting is the way they visually tell it is brilliant. I love that shot.
Yeah.
But to continue, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say also all of the different monster effects in this movie, like everything. I can't tell if they used practical effects or if this was all just CGI hidden behind like film grain, but everything looks so good in a way that it like just captures that like horror movie vibe, not like an actual like horrific scene. Like you're not gonna walk out of this movie like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared, I'm never gonna sleep. No, it's not that kind.
You're gonna walk out and be like, that was fun. I like that.
Awesome.
It's that horror element. Like you feel like you went to Universal Studios,
right?
Like it is, and it's all done in a way that just makes you feel that like nostalgic horror of watching a classic horror movie, and that transformation is like I don't know what I was expecting as far as the werewolf, but like when you actually see the werewolf, it is just perfect for like how they've established the rest of the movie.
Well, and I have to like as somebody who adores like good body horror and specifically good transformations, I have to look this up because I need to know how old I was when Prisoner of Azkaban. Okay, so it was 2004. I was 14. So when Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban came out, the thing that like struck me with how like legitimately gorgeously it was done was that werewolf transformation in that movie. And it was and this was before I'd seen The Howling, this is before I'd seen American Werewolf in London, any of that, but it was a practical effects transformation until the very point where it couldn't be. The absolute, like, which was the way they designed the creature, like, and like it had to be CG to walk away. But like up to that point, it was entirely practical, and I realized the like how truly incredible good practical effects kept you in a movie in a way. Like practical effects can look fake but feel real, is what I understand, and CGI looks real but feels fake. Like, and like, and depending on how it's done, touch ups or whatever. But like, yeah, the and it kind of sounds like you hit on like this kind of sounds like it hits all the beats of like a good monster movie, including including like the classic like I really need to see it now because I've seen so many fucking werewolf transformations.
Yeah.
Like I need to like I'm curious if I could pick out like the homages and the angles or like how it's going down because like okay, like I've been sold a second time.
Yeah, no, I think you'll like it a lot. So I can't wait to hear your reaction to it. I've seen it twice now because I enjoyed it so much, and I'm gonna watch it again on Halloween for sure. So yeah, it's
I think it's gonna be a new Halloween staple, like right there with Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm totally spacing on all of the other Halloween classics.
Oh, there's
Just
all the
of
old
them.
slasher movies.
But yeah, well, that's a great place to end that segment. Go watch Werewolf by Night. This has been Nerds and Friends. We give it a I'd give it an A plus. Will, what would you give it? Or a 5-star? Yeah, I loved it.
I give it a full moon out of.
Yes.
I don't know how we would.
I give it a full moon on or a blue moon if you're feeling really good.